streets are being patrolled by gangs. They're scum, just like you. And they're here to hunt you down and cut you up. I'll try to direct you as best I can, but other than that, you're on your own. It's up to you. Okay, are you ready? Camera, action.
Manhunt is a third-person survival horror title that was made by Rockstar North in 2003. You'll assume the role of an inmate who goes by the name James Earl Cash. The likely plot synopsis involves Cash being sentenced to death row for a massive string of bloody crime. More than likely, these circumstances involve numerous murders or some possible gang affiliation. Doesn't really matter, the case is irrelevant because Cash was administered the ultimate punishment. He was convicted to die as a broken man, angry, alone, and decrepit, while his whole family abandoned him during that lethal injection process. The story is far from over as a failed Hollywood director immediately booms over the loudspeaker. Cash awakens groggy over the injection he just received being a relative hard sedative. The director instructs Cash to put on an earpiece laying on the nearby table. He promises Cash one distinctive word: freedom. The freedom to escape into the world and get one last chance at redemption by any means necessary. The problem becomes apparent once the local gangs have been instructed to cut Cash into small gory ribbons. The director promises to guide Cash in the best way possible so that this could be over before the night is out. The gameplay makes it abundantly clear that Cash is one man against many. It's a manhunt where humans will do unspeakable things to make sure that Cash is promptly fitted with a toe tag. This means that avoiding confrontation around every dark corner remains ideal here. All of this involves running away, stealth tactics, and using the shadows to gain a firm advantage. The only way to dispose of these enemies is to find weapons littered in the area. This ranges from metal bats, guns, bricks, nightsticks, and even the occasional plastic bag that comes with a warning label for a reason. If you haven't figured it out, then let me explain in detail. Manhunt is unique due to these finishing moves that the game will call executions. Once you sneak up behind someone with a weapon, there will be 3 rotational arrows to initiate the kill. If the arrows are white, then this equates to a quick, painful death that ends before things even begin. Hold the button down longer to see kills getting increasingly violent by the second as they turn yellow. If you hold the button down for the longest, then the arrows will morph into a crimson red. Gruesome executions are usually filled to the brim with horrendous torture until the opponent's head comes off, or if they are gutted in 6 seconds. This is the core that Manhunt wants to offer. It is unflinching violence that is used as a tool for the director's depraved fantasy. It's a brutal blood sport that is usually a play on the Running Man or Smash TV. What would happen if violence was sensationalized for our entertainment? What if we chose to be the desensitized to violence for our amusement. The snuff film craze also ties into the ranking that you receive at the end of each chapter. You're timed on how fast each level is completed with 1 star. Then you're given another star by default if you play on the hardest mode. Then the final 3 stars goes into how violent you were during each particular chapter. As you can tell, the objective is to get 5 stars to unlock cheat codes, bonus scenes, and concept art as you go along. The level design has a lot of verticality, even some good spacing as you attempt to get the drop on the bad guys. One mission that really got on my nerves was the one where I used evasive tactics and they still didn't work. It was called Wrong Side of the Tracks. The more I played, the more I realized that it felt like pulling teeth just to get the drop on the enemies, especially enemies that felt like they had more situational awareness with a gun. A general criticism about Manhunt is the strict similarity across the board. It's all about the overuse of gunplay that takes away all the fun from the earlier stealth segments. This might sound like I am beating a dead horse, but I actually agree with this. There's gory satisfaction to pulling off shotgun headshots as brain meat flies into the open, no matter how fucked up that is. At the same time, Cash cannot take that much punishment, so if you run into a room, let's say hypothetically, you run into a room with their SWAT members, there's 7 of them, and they have 7 submachine guns, you're usually dead on the spot. The difficult nature raises once gunplay hits the scene. It'll leave you wondering, why didn't Rockstar get more creative here? It'll leave you asking for more methodical segments that led to slow, deliberate executions. There is compensation given once you become a wolf in sheep's clothing. Yellow class weapons are marked as items that can be utilized for noise. You could also hit a wall to lure foes in your general direction so they could be picked apart. Hiding in shadows will make hunters completely blind unless you run into the shadows and they saw this occur. If this happens, they won't be fooled the second time around and they'll continue pummeling on Cash until he's fully neutralized. You also have to watch where you walk as well, because sometimes there could be gravel on the ground, and you also have to watch when you run because that produces a large amount of noise. There's been a huge attention to the sound detail here, which almost seems like you're in a John Carpenter movie. Lots of synth waves, drums, heavy beats, cymbals, the works. It's all done exquisitely, which makes your blood pump at the first sign of being spotted. The director has a wavering apathy as Brian Cox screams at Cash to kill faster, barks directions, or gets off to each murder that the player commits. It's a very sick, twisted feeling that reels you into this world once more. One last compliment I want to give to the synthwave is that I love how each track increases tempo depending on what you're doing in the game itself. The presentation gives you this grunge, dirty outlook as if a snuff film is actually happening. Everything looks like it's ripped straight from a video cassette tape, which is fitting because Starkweather actually recorded over some kids show to make this actually work in the first place. Things are warped around scan lines, pixelization, and noise effects. Add in a green filter with some blood on the camera to match. After that, you have a look that knows what it wants to do with a psycho retrospective lens doing all the talking. The story is obviously about James Earl Cash and his fight to survive. It's not the most complex story in the world when you really think about it. Cash himself is pretty much stoic. He doesn't talk for a good bulk of the game. Honestly, I really wouldn't have it any other way. The reason is because the crucial details also lie in what happens in the world around him. You start unraveling more with this director and who is setting you up like a puppet on a string. The final straw comes in when Cash is having his family killed, once the director breaks his promise to free them.
You must understand, Cash. I can never let them go. Where were your family when you were facing your final moments in the chamber anyway? You've left your old life, your old self behind. I'm all the family you need now.
Apparently, Lionel Starkweather believes that you have expended your usefulness to him later on after facing the Smileys. He tries to get Cash exterminated, only for this plan to backfire as we progress further. Realizing that the rabid dog has slipped his leash, we find out that Starkweather has many powerful allies. This includes bribing the police chief, Gary Schaefer, in order to use Cursor Police in this investigation. What we really know is the fact that the CCPD wants to put a bullet through Cash's skull as soon as possible. Crooked police, rival gangs, and even the war dog leader are completely cut down by James Cutthroat Cash. A female reporter tips Cash off about Starkweather's mansion while escaping with all the incriminating evidence against him. Cash then launches an assault on Starkweather's estate while a mentally deranged man in pig skin decides to take his chance and escape freely. A massive shootout is exchanged with the Cerberus team members who are paid to protect Starkweather. Cash breaks through all the defenses and then he is attacked by Pigsy. Pigsy acts like a boss who ruthlessly tries to kill Cash in one of the most intense stealth sections within the entire game. Pigsy eventually falls under a metal grate, and being quite the stickler for home improvement, Cash finally decides to end Pigsy's life forever. Cash uses his chainsaw to bust into Starkweather's main room, and then he is tasked with a revving conclusion to end the life of his maker with the final cut.
Cash, I made you!
Manhunt's story can mostly equate to kill or be killed, survival of the fittest. There's no real trust, there's no real reason in the middle. Cash is tasked to kill because he's particularly good at it. This is a violent allegory that runs as a concurrent theme until the game finally closes out. You'll be uncovering layers of debauchery from gangs themselves, like the Innocents, who consist of child molesters, or the Skins, who seem to be neo-Nazi racists. It is confirmed that these people who are hunting Cash want to do it purely because they want to do ethnic cleansing. This game is completely fucked up 6 ways under the sun. I cannot stress enough how Rockstar really pushed themselves to the edge with this one, to the point where I think Manhunt makes GTA look like a fucking middle school on controversy. This was the one Rockstar title that caused a mutiny from the inside due to all the subject matter alone. We can say that this is one of the most controversial video games of all time, even linked to actual murders themselves and banned in several countries. What do I think? I think it's all fun and games if we all know it's fiction. I'm not saying that real snuff movies are condoned by my standards. What I'm saying is that this is a video game aimed at an adult audience with a very clear slasher theme. These themes carry the violence, entertainment, and survival instinct within the story. It's a couple of pixels getting their heads chopped off. As long as it stays fiction, then it's really not a big issue. Video games don't kill people at all, and sane people will kill other people. Usually I try not to get so philosophical on this channel, however, I can let this be the one exception to the rule. If you are a horror fan who enjoys fictional gore and escapism, then you shouldn't be shamed as some freak for liking Manhunt. Yes, the acts committed in this game are seen as super disturbing. At the same time, every game is not for every person who can't stomach fake brutality. Otherwise, I would say that the graphics for Manhunt, they are pretty decent. This was 2003, so everything was done on the same renderware engine as GTA. The only thing I don't like is how the rain particles seem to like fly up in the air and they don't stick to anything. That's just a small nitpick of mine. The character models look fine. I like when Cash gets bloodied up and all like gory looking when he takes damage and everything. That's cool. When you run a little bit, you can see your character like get sweat on their body, and that's also like nice. You can see the realistic attention to detail still happen even in 2003. I also like the gore and the animations. I think the main presentation here is going to be the animations for Manhunt and how they look super realistic, super mocapped. Still, you know, like I said, once again, this is 2003 stuff. This is not like 2021 where you get like super detailed stuff. Back then, all these insanely gnarly kills were like next level to me because I never seen anything like this before in a video game where it's like super duper fucking real. It looks real, it looks mocap real, and I like that so much. The broken Rust Belt environments, the townscapes, how the cop cars look, the weapons, etc., how cool the machetes look. Like, I could talk endlessly about the enemy designs and how you see the war dogs wearing ghillie outfits, or you see the innocents wearing Hawaiian shirts and baby doll masks. You see the smileys, which are the super crazy gang that you run into, and they're wearing like smiley like faces, and they also have like dresses on because one of them thinks that they're so crazy that they are James Earl Cash's wife or something. Like, it's super insane, and that is the details that fits into this world. It is kill or be killed at any cost. Everyone's crazy, everyone's going demented, some people are dipshits, and this is how things are operated in the world of Manhunt that looks like a broken up VHS either way, so they fit this scene well. These people are crazy fucking lunatics. They're supposed to be crazy fucking lunatics. That's supposed to be the crazy fucking aesthetic. This is everything cool about Manhunt. You are looking into the mouth of madness. You are looking into the view of insanity, and it shows with the environments. You got a fucking goddamn penitentiary that's like abandoned and shit, and you're fighting the smileys. Come on, all of this stuff fits in so good, and I cannot like praise it enough. It deserves its own section in this video with how they detail the presentation, because the presentation is just so immaculate in this game for what they're trying to convey. This is a slasher movie put to game through and fucking through. There's also some throwaway trivia that I didn't mention. The fact that you could use a headset to make noise, which I never used back then. You could hook up Logitech headsets to either Manhunt 1, and I think Manhunt 2 had it back then as well, and you could make noise, emit noise. If you say anything, the hunters will roam to your location. That's really like for the hardcore people that want to be immersed into the experience like super deeply. And then that being said, this game has a nice sizable amount of content, a nice sizable amount of replay value to keep you busy. If it's not unlocking all of the features I talked about earlier, it's using these cheat codes to get things like infinite ammo, sprint, and being invulnerable. You could also unlock skins for cash in the game, like a white rabbit or a monkey for instance. There's also bonus scenes at the end that serve as challenge modes in my opinion. Brawl game is comically awful because it shows another dark side to Manhunt. That dark side involves the general melee system. It is complete bullocks in this game because it centers on slow and terrible combo strings back and forth all over again. Multiple gang members can beat your ass like a Cherokee drum anyway, so you have to rest those fists if you want it to be remotely like Mike Tyson. I should have convinced you enough about the melee in this game, but just wait until you actually control this dumpster fire. Example time, how to grab people, right? You mash two buttons to grab someone while pushing the left stick up so James Earl Cash can continue his assault. I didn't even mention how the enemies can block this throw, which made Brawl game even worse. The other modes are just treated like a mere distraction, hunt down the other gangs in a distinctive level, or play shootout missions until you reach the final checkpoint. I'm glad these are here, but they probably will outstay their welcome once the repetition kicks into max overdrive. Overall, I adored Manhunt. It's a surreal, brutal world that never stops putting a knee to your face. It's cold, callous fun that's not meant for the whole family. My only gripe seemed to be the melee combat not being good or the gunplay swamping later levels. However, if you stick with it, the game just sticks with you. Not with a knife, of course, not like that or anything, but it gives you all the violent fetishes you could ever ask for. I give Manhunt an 8 out of 10. This is my review of Manhunt done. I am Renegade Operative. You can check me out on the social media right here on the screen. Check me out in the description below. Once again, this video should be out before Halloween, so happy Halloween, bitch. Oh, you know what? I'm leaving that in. Yo, Mikey, happy freaking Halloween. I'm leaving that in. Anyway, thank you so much. If you support this channel, watch these videos, like these videos, subscribe, all that stuff, I appreciate you. I will see you guys next time, and once again, be safe, get freaky, and take care. See you later.